So Senator Tammy Duckworth is calling out Pete Hegseth. She says, Pete Hegseth is an effing liar. This is so clearly classified info he recklessly leaked that could have gotten our pilots killed. He needs to resign in disgrace immediately. Take a look at this.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Right,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
Nobody's texting war plans.
Kazu, you're right.
I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what we're directing, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished. Nobody's texting war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day.
So you think he should step down?
I do, because what he texted was the drones are going to hit, then the second sortie of F-18s will be on target. That tells the enemy exactly when the drones hit in that spot, 30 minutes later, the F-18s are going to be there. That is my concern. That's why I'm so upset. As a former pilot, you know, I have a special affinity for pilots who are out there. And these men and women, thank goodness we're not injured on this mission. And I worry about future missions. I worry that our allies might not share information with us if they feel that we do not know how to safeguard.
So it's pretty obvious after you see what Hegseth says. Then I'm now showing you the text where, remember before he's like, oh, we didn't do anything classified. We didn't send any locations or assets. I mean, it's like literally we have it right here in your text. So Tammy Duckworth is calling him out, which I think rightfully so. She also says this as well. Pilot to Hegseth, you're going to kill somebody. For safety of our troops, Hegseth has got to go. She's also citing a New York Times article where it says Signal chat leak angers U.S. military pilots. So it's more than just Tammy Duckworth is saying it, is multiple people. You also have Duckworth saying this as well. Protocol is clear. Every single official on that Signal chain needs to hand over their mobile devices. Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, all of them. This is a matter of national security and rule of law. If it were anyone else, Republicans would call for this too. This just came from the Washington Post today. Basically, there are more people in the background saying the same thing. Hegseth's got to go, basically, kind of stuff. Signal chat flouted rules on classified intel, says former defense officials. Here's another quote. These are indeed highly detailed operational plans for war. 25 years, I have never known them not to be classified. And usually this operational level of detail is further restricted to those with a need to know. I don't care what DOD says. That's classified info. And that was from another person. And on top of that, the Republicans behind the scenes also don't like Hegseth. This is coming out of Politico. Trump allies are starting to notice Hegseth's growing pile of mistakes. If you guys don't know, the reason why Hegseth was picked, he's a former Fox News person. Trump used to watch him on Fox News, like, oh, wow, I really like him on Fox News. He says nice things about me. He meets the qualifications. He's a dude of a certain skin color. Wow, you're hired. That's how Trump picks his people. I want to read some details of this stuff because it looks like they may go for the fall guy kind of thing, bring him all on walls, someone else. But Hegseth, people don't like him. Let's read some more. It says, the White House is publicly defending Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. I think it's mostly because of Trump likes him because he was on Fox News. And Trump likes people who are loyal to him. That's what Trump wants. After he detected sensitive military information in the Signal chat. But behind the scenes, administration insiders are starting to express doubts about the Pentagon chief's judgment. You probably won't get people in public unless there's enough of them to start calling for it. But chances are, it'll probably come sooner or later in my estimation because all of these things are coming out at once. And you'll see we have more than just this. Officials agree, and National Security Advisor Mark Walsh, who accidentally invited a journalist to a group chat with senior leaders, could easily take the fall for a scandal that was embarrassed administration, right? But would that be enough to save Hegseth? And this is where I was mentioning other Republicans, because it says here, Republican hawks, Pentagon officials, and even some inside the White House now believe Hegseth also messed up by sending likely classified details from his phone. That has potential to undermine his credibility in the administration. And, basically, if there's no one that trusts you, right? because you've already messed up with this. What if we get to an even more dangerous and sensitive information? If, like, all hell breaks loose, do you want Hegseth to be the guy in charge?
When the president asked me to do this job, he's told me two things up front, amongst many. He said, first, he said, Pete, you're going to have to be tough as
He is very inexperienced, as you guys know, and this is new. This is just breaking from the Wall Street Journal today. He's been bringing his wife to sensitive meetings, right? This is the headline. Hegseth brought his wife to sensitive meetings with foreign military officials. I didn't even know this stuff was going on. This was just breaking today. This is a picture of it. So there's Hegseth in the foreground. There's his wife in the background. And in some of these situations, the people are like, who is that person? What's she doing here? They asked, does she have clearance or not? There was a no comment on that. So when they give no comment, in my opinion, because I don't know, but in my opinion, I doubt she has clearance. But you never know. It's just odd that they wouldn't say, when mum's the word. It says here, Jennifer Hegseth also attended a meeting last month at the NATO headquarters in Brussels, where Allied defense officials discussed their support for Ukraine. According to two people who attended the meeting, Hegseth's brother Philip Hegseth was also traveling with him on official Pentagon visits. So that was new to me. I was like, what the heck is this Hegseth brother doing there? So I looked that one up. It turns his brother's got like a special role. It's kind of like I don't know if you want to call it the Elon Musk kind of thing, like an advisor sort of thing. This was sort of a trolling headline on that. Hegseth brings emotional support brother as Pentagon aide. And what's interesting about the brother, I think he's got like a podcast. And then the wife, I think she's a Fox producer. So they're all kind of like a media family, which is not unusual, to all do the similar jobs. But where it becomes, dangerous is that, like, if that's your competency is, say, in the media, you have no business, doing the Secretary of Defense. And it's not surprising sort of the ways that he's, behaving. I think what's just so crazy about this stuff is it's gone on this long. I mean, already, we have scandal after scandal after scandal. You got your brother there, you got your wife there to support you. You're texting theoretically your friends about war plans, this kind of stuff. And I know I might joke about this stuff, but I just want you guys to understand that this is, real people's lives. So I want to show you Tammy Baldwin's point of view on this stuff. More on the wife situation when you read through this. I'll read some with you guys. It says, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is facing scrutiny over his handling of the details of the military strike, brought his wife, former Fox News producer. So I like I said, I didn't know she was in the TV business also, to two meetings with foreign military counterparts where sensitive information was discussed, according to multiple people, right? So we are talking about sensitive matters. I mean, this is obviously military stuff. And oftentimes this stuff should be, need to know. Does the wife really need to know about these stuff and all the inner things? And sometimes, if you're talking about sensitive stuff, you'll be like, well, who's out in the room? I don't feel comfortable talking in front of said person, right? So it's just odd to bring the wife. One of the meetings, a high-level discussion at the Pentagon on March 6th between Hegseth and UK Secretary of Defense John Healey took place at a sensitive moment for the transatlantic alliance, who understand like the kind of meetings that she's been going to. One day after the U.S. said it would cut off military intel with Ukraine. The group met with the Pentagon with include Admiral Tony Radakin, and the head of UK's armed forces discussed the U.S. rationale behind the decision. And this was where they talked about whether or not she could come and what kind of clearances that she had. It says a secretary can invite anyone to meetings with counterparts, but attendee list is usually carefully limited to a need to know, right? Those who need to be there, and attendees are typically expected to possess security clearances given the delicate nature of the discussions. I'm sure you guys understand that stuff. And this is where I mentioned that we don't know her clearance thing. It says Hegseth's wife, Jennifer Hegseth, isn't a Defense Department employee, defense officials said. It isn't uncommon for a spouse of senior officials to possess low-level security clearances, but a Pentagon spokesman declined to say whether Jennifer has one. Jennifer didn't respond to requests for comment. So I'll let you guys read that. I'll just say this, like, if she had it, I think they would say when they decline. It's kind of like when you ask Elon about Elon's way, hey, what's his clearance? Or did he swear in? Or did you hire him the right way? And they're just like, no comment. So, I'll just say this. I don't know for sure what her clearance is, but I'll just say there's a high chance that she doesn't have any if they're given no comment. Regarding the brother situation, there's interesting stuff with that. It just kind of shows you who these guys are. And, Haig says may or may not still be drinking on the job. Who knows? You have to ask Hegseth on that stuff. But says here, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's younger brother is serving as a Pentagon aide. So again, he's got his emotional brothers as support, and emotional support is his wife, right? Because he's inexperienced and he's bringing his family along for the ride. So far, Phil Hegseth, that's the brother, role has included meeting with UFC legend Conor McGregor. So bring the bro, go meet the fighters, and join his brother on an ongoing trip in the Pentagon's Boeing 747 and fly around the world. And whether or not they're drinking on the plane, who knows? Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson told the AP that the younger Hegseth official title is, this is his actual title, I guess, quote, Senior Advisor to the Secretary for Department of Homeland Security and Liaison Officer to the Secretary to the Defense Department. So I guess he's kind of got two positions, two different departments. And maybe the reason why they would do that is because you're not supposed to hire a family member directly, right? It would be against the law. So I guess then Homeland Security hires the brother, and then the Homeland Security then sends him to the Department of Defense to be like, special officers, or how they call it, liaison officer. So that's how they get around the law. Now in the executive branch, I guess, you can hire family members. So that's why you'll see something like where a president would take the first lady and, assign them to a special task force or something like that. For example, Kennedy hired his brother, or the Trump would hire his kids, that sort of stuff, or Bill Clinton would have Hillary do these things. But like I said, the first lady isn't so unusual to be involved with politics, but at a lower level position in a Hegseth situation, that would be illegal. Whether or not anyone calls them out on this stuff, who knows? And that's why I said it is, I guess, not illegal though if another department hires, because think of it this way: if you work in the government, you can't necessarily have a system where none of your family can ever work in the government at all. It's just that they could work in the government if you're not hiring them directly, if you guys know what I'm saying. But that's what's up with Hegseth. In my opinion, he's not a good dude.
When the president asked me to do this job, he's told me two things up front, amongst many. He said, first, he said, Pete, you're going to have to be tough as
So that was his impression of Donald Trump, and that sort of shows you behind the scenes how people do make fun of Trump. Anyway, I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you all in the next video.